All right, hey everybody. This is part 3. This is Dr. Jeffrey Slocum with the Legion of Chiropractic, and we got Dr. John Davila with Custom Chiro Solutions with us. Hey, this is part 3 of the 3-part journey that we're taking on. I'll say it, but it's more than compliance. But it's compliance, and compliance is something different than you may think it is. It's not boring. It's not trying to move you away from chiropractic. It's not dumbing down the principles. It's not medicalizing your philosophy. It's actually the antithesis of all that. It is moving away from medical mindset. It's reinforcing the chiropractic principles. It's defining what a subluxation is. It's providing services that are consistent with your philosophy, and it's helping your practice members move their mindset from disease-based care to lifetime wellness care based on the idea of detecting and correcting subluxation and making sure that it's documented so that you get reimbursed, they understand the value, so that you'll get paid either by the insurance company or, more importantly, by them long term to save their life and empower them. So the title of this is the 3 things successful high-volume offices have in common. Number 1, we did, the first one, which you've listened to, and if you haven't listened to it, go back, is they understand what the SWAN teaches them under the surface. The second part, which you probably just listened to, and if you haven't, go back, is they don't, high-volume practices don't concern themselves with unjust laws. They focus on being compliant instead of justifying non-compliance. Very important. And then this is part 3. Part 3 today, we're going to be talking about they see through people and the 3 R's of failed relationships, which are regret, resistance, and revenge. So, John, these are great segments that you've done. And I want to preface this as well. I'm so excited that you guys are going to be with us at Purposeful Connections this year. So everybody that's listening, go to the Legion of Chiropractic, legionofchiropractic.com, go to our event site, and register for Purposeful Connections. We're in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, September 29th and 30th, and then October 1st. So we start Friday, we go Saturday, Sunday, go home Monday if you want. Dr. John Davila is going to be there, Dr. Jason Strohide, myself, Dr. Alan Russo. We've got great speakers, but most importantly, we're going to learn a lot, we're going to play a lot, we're going to have fun, make new friends, develop new relationships, and just celebrate chiropractic and leadership. So, John, thanks for being on with us again today, and what do you got for us for part 3 here?
Well, I'm excited. I can't wait to get to Playa del Carmen. That's one place in Mexico I haven't been yet, but that sounds like...
You're going to love it.
I will. Well, so anyway, today this is about, if you listen to the other 2 parts, you realize that really my thrust isn't necessarily how to paint by numbers or tab A to slot B documentation type stuff or compliance that you're wrong. What I want to do is I want to make you right. I want to empower you. And I know Jeff has said that a couple times across the series, but what I want people to get is that I want them to understand who they choose as mentors. Just let that sink in for a second. I want you to think about who you have as a mentor. And the one question I want you to ask them is not, and I'm not saying I want you to question them. I want you to ask them questions. Hey, I'm just curious. And here's the question. What's your reference for that? They tell you something, what's your reference for that? Now, the reason why I go through this is because one of the biggest things that I get problem-wise with doctors who are in practice and they come to me with compliance problems is, well, I've been taught to do something a certain way, and I've been told, and this is the worst thing, when I have students that come and go, I was told the best thing is to have a cash practice. I used to have a round forehead. Now it's flat from hitting it repeatedly. And the reason why I say that is because, just like in the picture, I just hide my head. I go, why do you think a cash practice is any different? Well, that's because my mentor told me this. My coach told me this. The person on stage told me this. The whole entire universe told me this. And I go, wait a second. Have you ever asked a mentor who tells you should be a cash practice? I'm just curious. Have you ever been through the 3 R's of a relationship? Now, we've done this in person. I mean, seriously, we've done this in person. We've been through the idea of regret, like, I wish I'd never dated that person, or resistance, I'll never date again, anyone like that, or 3, you know, the whole idea of I'll get revenge, I'll get back at this person, blah, 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 I'll get back at this family. It's the same thing in real life that it is when you find a mentor. If you go back and you check all the people that talk about cash practice, and you ask them, you're my guru. My question to you is this. Did you ever get audited before? And they go, yeah. Did you lose? Yes. And that's why I'm here. I'm here because I wish I'd never done it. And I'm resisting. I will fight to my death, making sure people don't do it again. And in fact, I will get revenge on the insurance companies, because what I'll do is I'll teach everyone how to not play their game. Why would you take advice from someone like that? They hate the insurance company because they lost and they didn't know the rules. Why would you take advice from someone who failed at a game? I don't understand that. So, you know what? If I put it this way, I said, listen, the reason why they lost is because they didn't build the game correctly for themselves. You see, what happened was they provide services, right? And they lose money in this game because they provide services, and then they kind of figure out a fee schedule, and then from there, you know, they have a prepay or a payment plan type thing, and then from there, you know, they have a payment plan cost. They try and figure out the cost, and then from there, they go ahead and figure out what the total cost of the care plan is. You know, that's what they did, and they got audited and they lost, and they played the insurance game. And they lost. They didn't make any money. Even if they didn't get audited, they did it this way, right? And they lost. They have no idea why. They have no idea why they ended up where they did. They have no idea why what they did was not profitable. They just did it because they did it that way. They got dinged, and now they hate everybody. I dare you to go back and ask the people who talk about cash practice, and you will find the 3 R's and this process deeply hidden in every one of their stories. That's the part that kills me. And you know what? Because of what we do to help doctors get through this, ready? This is what we see 98% of the time when a doctor comes to us. 98% of the time when we have doctors come to us with compliance problems, they are selling care plans that lose money. They're in contracts that lose money. They don't understand what they're doing. They're just played the game like they've been taught over years, and now they're just frustrated. Now they just want to hate everything and get out of everything, get away from everything, without even understanding what the compliance side of it is. And then the worst part is they don't realize. They follow this person, they follow that person, they do this, they do this, they do this, and they lose money. They're like, how come I'm losing money? How come I'm dealing with this person, I'm losing money? How come I'm doing this person said, it doesn't work, right? Happens all the time. And then the worst part is the people that say you should charge cash, the people that want you to help, you know, close as many people as possible, and they want to take you to the top of a mountain, and they want to do this, they want you to walk on fire, they want you to crawl across glass, and all this crap. They don't care about your compliance. They tell you, oh, the best way to get it is to do this. Free exams and x-rays. Free this, free that. Bring them in and do it for free. And then they point and they say, you know what, follow me because, you know what, your state board says you could. Your state board said you could do it. But ladies and gentlemen, your state board is the baby fish in this process. They're nobody. The only thing when the state board says you can give stuff away for free, you know what that means? That means they won't take your license away for doing it. That doesn't mean Medicare won't. Because Medicare's rules say you can't give things away for free. Well, my board says I can. Well, let's understand, even Medicare is not that big of a deal because we can go right to the Office of Inspector General, even the Constitution, and keep getting bigger, bigger fish, that these people make the laws. But insurance is bad. Well, so is breaking the law. But what if you understood all the rules? If you listen to the other sessions, Jeff comes up with the greatest comments. He goes, I am more sure now, and even doing it compliantly and telling the patient what they owe and everything else, his collections are better now. They're better now than before because he understood what the patient is owed. And if I understand what the patient's owed, and I know what I'm going to give the patient as far as their overall goal, and I know exactly what their insurance covers, and I'm not accepting liability for them, then I end up in a place where everyone pays and they all understand because they all know. All your patients know what they purchased. Or you don't have to. You can listen to all those gurus and try and do this, where this guy in Utah goes to jail for 6 months because of giving away free consultations. I mean, it's your choice. It's your choice. Or you can follow this. Here is your action step. This is all you got to do. If you do this, and Jeff, you can go ahead and chime in at the end because this is exactly what we did with you. If you do it this way, this is how you win. This is the game. You start here. Now, remember, the entire series we've talked about reverse engineering. The same thing happens here with your care plans. The first thing you got to do, start with what you want the total cost of the care plan to be. Start there. If you start there and go straight in reverse into what my payment plan would be, is my next thing. And then what I'm going to do as far as a prepay, I'm going to go there. Then I could look at what my fee schedule is. Then I could figure out my services. If I do this, and I do it actually in reverse, I can guarantee that every time I sell a care plan, it's going to be profitable. Whether you're dealing with insurance or not, and you break it down correctly as patient portion, insurance portion based on the overall care plan of what the patient needs to get to ideal functional wellness, if you do this, you win because you guarantee profitability. Now, how do I know this? I know this because we've done this for almost 400 chiropractors going through this process and helping them. And where did this come from? One of my favorite stories ever. Losing while winning in Chicago, one of my favorite stories ever. Had this guy who went to this guru, oh, it's all about cash. If you do it for $99 or less, someone will never see it on their credit card bill. They won't even notice it, blah, 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 blah. All this double-speak 1980s, Mercedes 80s crap. Sat down with him. Hey, listen, how come you're going from like 400 to 450 to 475 to 480 a week, and you're not making any more money? Because he asked me to look at his numbers, and that was his complaint. And I said, wow, man, you're not making any more money. He goes, I know, why? And I said, I don't know, let's take a look. And I looked at his numbers. He was selling once a week for $99 in downtown Chicago when his overhead was $32 a visit. He was paying patients $7.40 to come see him. And what that meant was, even while he was seeing more patients, his overhead only went down slightly because it costed more money because he'd hire someone else to help the overflow. And when that happened, every time he had a dip in his number of new patients, because that's where his profit margins were, he ended up barely making overhead. Now, this is important to understand. You have to figure out where this game is played. If you understand from the very end where you want to be, you can guarantee all of your profitability. Once you guarantee your profitability, then you can work with any insurance company. You can take any contract you want. You have to be able to go ahead and give the discount correctly. And this is one way to give a discount. This is what we suggest. But if you do it correctly, you can guarantee almost any situation will make you money if you do it in reverse. Now, Jeff, I have a question for you. When we started this program for you, it was hard to get you going and thinking about from the reverse going towards the care plan, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I'd never thought of it that way. I knew what my cost per visit was, but I'd never really thought of it looking at it from that direction. I did it from, okay, this is the number of visits I'm going to recommend, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do. I went exactly, left to right instead of right to left.
And then you end up in some situations where the insurance network contract that you had, you'd actually lose money on some of those people.
Yeah, it was all the law of averages for us. And, we've always been profitable. But we're more profitable now because we're starting on the right side of the equation. So, it's the law of averages. And it still is the law of averages in our practice. Except what happens is now that we're starting from the right side coming back, our low end is higher and our high end, our low end went up a lot higher than our high end did. So even though we're still playing law of averages, our averages are $10 a visit higher.
Correct, which meant that now at the low end, you're at least meeting the overhead.
Exactly.
As compared to losing money on certain cases.
Exactly.
Correct, because not every case is going to end up being to that extent. Yeah, a $30 profit per visit. Correct. Or a family of 6 in wellness care.
Yeah, quite frankly, to be honest, we still lose money on that. Hey, I'm an honest guy, John. I'm an honest guy.
Exactly. So what I want people to realize in this situation here, it's revenge, resistance, regret. Don't go through it. Insurance isn't that big of a deal. I honestly believe insurance is like herpes. And Jeff, do you want my herpes? No.
Nope.
Jeff, I want my herpes. But herpes and insurance are the same thing. If you accept the patient's insurance as the reason why you're going to do certain things, when the patient's gone in 5 years and you get a bump on your lip or a letter from the insurance company, you're stuck. And that's what I want people to realize. I can play the game as long as I do it correctly. If I do it correctly, I don't end up with herpes. I don't end up with their insurance problems. I end up in a place where I can play the game. I've made it profitable for myself. I haven't, dealt with insurance in such a way in which insurance deems me as a bad corporate partner, which is really what they think of, what they want doctors to look like. So if you can do that, the game is won. And then with our Compliant Coupons program, it's really, really simple to be able to make discounts, variable for each patient, be able to make each care plan at least meet your overhead and be profitable.
Yeah, they help.
They really do.
Yeah.
So before I go, what I want to do is this. I want people to realize that that compliance to me is really more about Brazil. And when I say Brazil, I mean, Rio. And this story to me really is about a friend of mine and what he told me where he used to live. And it was all about this thing called the Plaza. The Plaza Hotel was this beautiful, beautiful structure that was the best in Rio at the time when it was built. And then, from floor-to-ceiling windows and sunrise and sunset decks and parking and concierge and artwork and all this different stuff, one day, this beautiful building collapsed. And the reason why it collapsed is because the contractor did not use fill dirt in order to to set the footings. They actually used beach sand. Now, to me, that is a telling story. I know we started out with talking about the perfect practice, and then we want to talk about, not worrying about what other people are doing, and we want to talk about the 3 R's. But here's what we got to realize. Your practice, in order to grow, in order to be the biggest thing it can be, in order to provide for you and your family, to be able to build something that you can have a legacy for, eventually you become big enough that you become a target. And what we want you to have is the best, most stable foundation ever. That way, if anyone ever comes to you from a compliance standpoint, it backs up what you do 100%. Now, we help our doctors do that with something called the audit-proof income system. We help your EHR be optimized to what you do. We look at your coding. We figure out what you're doing that way. We help you with training and support to be able to do medical necessity. We review your care plans to make sure that what you sell doesn't create an audit. We give you the ability to get discounts without having to sell a discount medical plan. And the best part is everything is referenced. Now, whether you're new in practice or a student or you've been in practice forever, I want you to think about Bambi. This is what the most important thing is about Bambi. And the reason why I say it's about Bambi is because when Bambi was born, Bambi's mother looked at Bambi and said, come on, we got to get up and run. Bambi said, no, I want to stay here and float around. I want to play with the butterflies. And Bambi's mother said, no, Bambi, we got to go. Well, I can barely walk, and I want to see the sun. Bambi's mother said, no, we've got to get up and go now. And Bambi said, no, I want to stay here. It's so nice here. It's so comfortable here. And Bambi's mother looked at Bambi and said, we've got to go now. Bambi goes, why? And her mother said, because the hunter is coming. We cannot stay here. And that is 100% why I do what I do. The insurance companies, yes, they come after you. Yes, boards come after you. Why? Because sometimes we build a practice that we think is perfect, but we put beach sand in the foundation and we don't support it correctly. And my goal for every one of you listening to this webinar is to have the most solid foundation for all of your practices. The same thing, Jeff, like we help you build certainty, builds profitability. Jeff, thanks for having me for the webinar. We'll see you next time.
John, thanks for being on, and everybody. John's an alliance member of the Legion of Chiropractic, and it's companies like Custom Chiro Solutions and John and his team that allow us to be able to provide these types of resources for you guys at little to no cost. I mean, trust me when I say this. When you become more confident, more certain, more consistent with the policies and procedures and principles that you want to practice with, your profitability goes up. Your level of happiness goes up. Your level of security goes up. And I tell you what, when you can walk into your practice and you're secure and you know that you can focus on what you do best, which is, hugging, high-fiving, detecting correcting subluxations and allowing people to live their lives at their full expression that they deserve, it's a different world out there. So, John, thanks so much for being on with us. This is part 3 of our call. And, John, go ahead and just what's the website? Where do people go to find out more?
Yeah, if you want to find out more, it's real simple. Just go to customchirosolutions.com. And we'd love to go ahead and have you search out the website. If you want to find us or email us, it's info@customchirosolutions.com. If you want to give us a call, it's 800-974-3479. Cool.
And everybody, just another pitch. Dr. John's going to be down there in Playa del Carmen, Mexico with us, September 28th, 29th, and 30th, October 1st. Go to legionofchiropractic.com. Check out events. Get registered for that. Bring your team. Bring your spouse. It's a family affair. We have a great time. We spend time in the pool. We spend time on the beach. We have breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. So it's not like your average seminar, right? It's a gathering. It's a family. We have a ton of fun. We learn a lot. But you know what? Pick the brains of some of the most successful chiropractors out there when you're having breakfast. And we spend the whole weekend together. So if you want more of this great stuff, then join us in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, September 29th, 30th, October 1st. John, thanks a lot. Say hi to the team over there, and we really love having you guys with us.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.